What's going on, guys? So right now the camera's set up on probably the sketchiest, most unstable mount fucking possible, so I'm gonna be driving as slow as I can and not try to fucking make this thing fall off. It's pretty sketchy and I'm pretty concerned, but I wanted to make this video about why I bought the S2000 for anyone like potentially looking to buy one. So I'm using one hand to hold onto this tripod and the other hand is steer. Probably pretty sketchy, but I'm driving really slowly on this mountain road, so I should be alright. As long as I could remember, I always enjoyed driving. I love driving. Since I was a little kid, I always grew up watching Initial D, playing the games at the arcades, playing Need for Speed and stuff, Gran Turismo, so I've always been into cars, but specifically I've always been into driving too, so never been into like stance or like stuff like that. Always been about the drive, right? I got this car, guys, because it's a great driver's car. I started with the Miata. It was pretty much a perfect first car. Like very nimble, of course, very easy to handle, very easy to learn. Definitely a lot safer to drive than this car, I'd say. The Miata had a lot less power and it was just a little more balanced. The S2000 has a tendency to oversteer, and because of that, it will probably try to kill you. So I wouldn't recommend it being your first car. I would recommend starting off with something similar, like a Miata, and you know, learning to drive like that. And when you get an S2000, guys, be really careful. They are very tail happy. They will try to kill you, especially the earlier models. The 06 Plus has like traction control and stuff, but the 04 and 05 are AP2s without traction control. The AP1s are just straight up death traps. I've owned 3 S2000s. I've owned 2 AP2s and 1 AP1. And honestly, guys, the AP1 is a fucking death trap, and that's the honest truth. Yeah, guys, the S2000 is a great car to drive. I really don't think any competitors can really beat it. The FRS and VRZ aren't even close. The Miata is definitely way underpowered and stuff. So I think, honestly, for the price, the S2000 is pretty fucking good. They're very responsive. People are always talking about how great the shifter is for a reason and stuff. Very sharp handling. And another thing that's really great about this car, guys, is that you don't have to do a lot to it to make it great. So right out of the box, it's already really good, right? It comes with like, oh shit. So stock right out of the box, guys, it's already really good. And it doesn't really take much to make it significantly better, right? I have driven on track and stuff quite a bit, guys. I remember my second time at Buttonwillow, and I'm not like a great driver or anything like that, but this car is just very capable. And I had pretty much just a wheel and tire setup and some brakes. I didn't have coilovers or anything like that, just a wheel and tire setup. And I ended up running a 205. So no coilovers, no aero or anything. Stock everything except wheels and tires. And I ran a 205 at Buttonwillow, which is pretty good actually. Sub 2 minutes is actually considered really good. And I got really close to that once I just threw on a wing pretty much. So I threw on a wing and I cut my time down. Cut my time down by like 4 seconds and almost hit a sub 2. And I'm like, by no means am I like a great driver or anything like that. So it really shows that the car is very capable with very little. So, and it's crazy how much of a difference aero makes in this car, guys. When I threw on the wing, like the amount of effort it took to run that 201 was so much less, and I was doing consistently 201s too. At the end of the day, when the track was already hot, the car was already hot. So I ran consistent 201s on my very last lap, on my very last session, because I just borrowed a friend's wing, threw it on, and like I fell in love. And then I got my own wing because I saw the difference that aero makes on this car, you know? Now, of course, guys, the car's not perfect. There are issues and stuff with it. It's definitely not the most practical car you could have. There's very little space. It's noisy. It's definitely, you know, a lot of cabin noise and stuff, lots of wind noise from the soft top. But if you're not too, like, concerned about that, it's great. I did daily the S2000 for, like, 2 years, and then on my 3rd year, I pretty much got a Civic for a daily, and then now I don't daily this thing. And I think that makes it even more enjoyable because I take it out as like a weekend car, and whenever I just want to go for like a nice drive and stuff, I take this car out. Yeah, so honestly, guys, even as a daily, if you don't do too much to it, it's really not bad. It's still very enjoyable. Just a little small and impractical. You can't carry a lot of things in it. Trunk space is pretty limited. Honestly, I think you have more trunk space than a Miata, but if you're very concerned about practicality, this might not be the best choice. And the last thing I want to talk about, guys, is like pretty much the AP1 versus AP2 thing. I've had both, so I know what it's like to have both. I'd have to say, in my opinion, I definitely enjoy the AP2 a lot more. I think it's a better car. It's a lot easier to find power. The AP1, yeah, it has 9K, but you really don't get any low-end power at all. You barely get any in the AP2, and you pretty much don't get any in like the fucking AP1. I literally felt like my Miata was faster than the low end of the AP1, so that kind of gives you guys an example of how slow it is. It's also very death trappy. It really wants to kill you and throw its ass out, so you gotta be really careful with the AP1s for that reason. They're just not as reliable either. They blow up a lot more often. They have cylinder head issues a lot more often and stuff. Yeah, pretty much see that like a lot of AP1s have a lot more issues than AP2s. They really refined a lot of things. I think looks-wise, the AP2 definitely looks a lot better too. The interior is way fucking better. There's a lot of really ghetto-looking, ugly things in the AP1, like the carpet center console and stuff. The AP2 has leather center console. It has 2 cup holders, which are absolute shit, but 2 is better than 1. The AP1 only has 1 cup holder that's really bad. And yeah, the AP2's interior just is a lot better in my opinion. They tweaked the suspension and they changed the stock wheel and tire sizes to make it less of a depth trap than the AP1. So honestly, I think the AP2 is a much better car. It's safer, it's more reliable, it looks better in my opinion, and you know, I get the whole 9K thing, but honestly I think it's pretty overrated. The AP2 revs all the way up to 8 and that's fine. Power is more accessible anyway, so I just think the AP2s are a lot better. That's pretty much my talk about why I bought this car. I hope you guys found it useful and hopefully it helps you with your decision making if you're in the market for an S2000 and stuff like that. That's pretty much it, guys. If you guys liked the video, leave a like, drop a comment or something, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.